and I want to get on here and just spend a few minutes, maybe every other day or a few minutes a week with each other, and just talk about a specific conversation or a specific topic that I think is going to be a joyful noise in the world. And with all of everything that we have going on around us, it seems like we could definitely use some focus and some attention into some into ourselves, into our center. And today, the first topic I'd like to share with you is about the idea that we expand upon what we focus on, or what does it mean to manifest in our life, and what does it mean that everything is a reflection of us. Because those are some pretty big ideas, even though I believe they're truths, they are some pretty big ideas. And I thought maybe if I gave some simple examples of how this is true, it'd be a little bit easier for us to start taking over the wheel in our life and being more of a co-creator with the universe. We spend a lot of time handing the wheel over to the drunk monkey inside our mind, right? That's, has something nice to say to us, hardly ever. Usually it's what we don't have, what we're too much of, what we're not enough of, all the things, right, that would hold us down. And it's such a part of our belief system that we don't even think about it or are aware of those thoughts anymore. We just hand the keys over to the drunk monkey and let them take the wheel. And therefore, we're not actively co-creating in our life. We're not actively, even though we are very much creating our universe. We are very much creating our existence and what we see in the world and what's going on. We're not actively doing it. We're taking the back seat. And I would like to invite all of us today to start taking action towards that. And so just giving you some simple examples of what that might look like for you. When I say the words, you expand upon what you focus on. Okay, so think about the last car that you purchased. Buy the car, and lo and behold, they're everywhere now, right? Like, this car is everywhere. And that is a lot to do with how we receive information and how we process that information, because our minds are absolutely magnificent if you think about it. Like, we are exposed to hundreds of millions of bits of information in a second. Our subconscious mind is capable of processing about 1% of that. So if it was 400 million bits of information, it'd be about 40 million bits of information that our subconscious mind is capable of processing in a second. Think on that. If I had to consciously do that, I would go crazy, right? Because it's receiving information from inside of our bodies, it's receiving information from outside of our bodies through all of our senses all the time. And a lot of it we kind of just, we're not aware of, right? Those cars, for instance, were driving down the road every bit as much as the day before you got your car as they were the day after you got your car. But now your conscious mind has said, hey subconscious, this information is important to me. And so now anytime that your subconscious is aware of this information, it's now pulling that information to the conscious mind because it's now important to you. And that's, interestingly, how our mind works, is our conscious mind kind of decides true or false, and our subconscious mind, it is what it is. Information just is information, it's processing information. And that's why presence is very important too. And being mindful of what you're being exposed to is incredibly powerful for you in reclaiming your own power. So when we're looking at the world and we're looking at what it is that we see, it's oftentimes the questions that we ask ourselves, right? Because our mind does not like an open loop. So, for example, if I ask you, what are you planning on making for dinner today? And I pause, you're going to think about what that answer might look like, or if you're going to go out to eat. What is your favorite color? Your mind probably gave an answer to that, because I ask a question, your mind heard the question, no, it needs an answer. What time are you going to go to bed tonight? Or what time is your bedtime? What time do you have your alarm set for in the morning? You will think of these answers because your mind needs the closure, right? And so just like with the car, or just like with the questions that you probably just answered now, any question that we ask, whether we believe it or not, our mind is going to find the answer too. Because the conscious mind is constantly retrieving information from the subconscious mind, right? It's kind of the command center, and that's why presence is important. So if I ask a question like, how come I can never get a break? Why do bad things always happen to me? Why is she so mean to me? Why is he so mean to me? How come bad luck always follows me? And I'm not, these are questions that you can put out to the universe, and you know what? Now you've just asked that question, your subconscious mind is going to go back into its programming and pull up every memory, every emotion, and anything inside of its existence is going to reflect that exact question to you, because now you've asked. It needs closure, right? So here we go. We're going to get some closure. If you ask a different question, how could I get ahead? What do I need to do to make this happen? How can I find this extra money that I need? And you start asking these kinds of questions. Then your mind, again, is going to, because now you're asking a question for a result that you want, not a result that you don't want. And oftentimes, the subconscious mind is going to give you bits of information, but if you're not consciously asking questions, then you're not aware that's what's happening. So if you ask a question like, why does it feel like there's always bad luck in my path, or something like that, and then a bunch of bad things happen during the day, now we've reinforced, well, here's even more, here's more proof of it, here's more proof of it. But you're not thinking, oh, I asked that question earlier and that's why this is showing up. You've asked the question for whatever reason you asked it, and all these things are showing up to answer that question. Same as if you ask a positive question, right? And so that's why it's really important that we stay mindful on what we're doing and reclaiming our power. And this does take practice. Like if you've had a lot of bad things go on in your life, and you might be programmed to ask those questions in a negative way. That's not right or wrong. Please don't judge it. I'm just offering you to be aware of that. Be aware of the words that you're using. Be aware of when you're saying, I can't, or I don't, or I won't. Then you can ask a new question, or you can start making corrections. There's a lot that goes into that. There's definitely ways that you can create your life in a different way, and there's ways that you can attract different experiences to you, because your mind is so powerful that it's going to find a way to fulfill your needs. You just have to desire it. That's it. You just gotta want it. So that's my tip for today. I would invite you all to 3 steps that you can take today to have more power and create a bigger future for you. Step 1, start being mindful of your words. Really examine for the next few days your choice of words and what do they sound like. And then once you're mindful of them, then step 2, start making small corrections. Don't start like, oh, I'm going to completely change everything about me today. That's not going to work. But start being aware and then taking small corrections and asking yourself, is this really what I want to create for myself? So once you start being aware of your language, and then you start making new choices, maybe you start substituting some of those words. The next thing that you do is start asking questions of yourself, like positive questions. Start asking the questions that you want to create in your life. A good way to practice this, if you think I'm completely out of my mind and losing it, is just think in your mind about something that's not in your environment. Like set your phone to it, play with it. Set your phone 3 times a day to go off to something inside of your mind. I can't remember whose original experiment it was, but it was the big red tomato experiment. You can look it up. I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but he suggests like a big red tomato. Like if it's something that's not in your environment all the time, maybe in summer it is, but something that's not your environment all the time, like a tomato, like set your alarm 3 times a week, 3 days a week, or 3 times a day. And then after those 3 days, when the alarm goes off, for like 30 seconds, just think of a big red tomato, picture it, what it would taste like, how juicy it is, how plump it is, how ripe it is. Maybe you see the green leaves on it, and then you just let it go and move on. And then when the alarm comes back, big red tomato. And then after a few days, maybe not even a few days, you are going to start noticing a lot more big red tomatoes in your life. I mean, you can do it with a tiger or an owl or a purple flower. It doesn't have to be a tomato, but it's something to just play with, so that you can start seeing the power of you, the power of your mind, and how you can start using the power of you in a positive way that serves your best life. Please, if you have any questions, reach out.